Hey there YouTube. I'm here to tell you about AR15s and kind of go through some of my builds to help you potentially build yours someday. This is geared towards the beginning AR15 buyer. Going to kind of go through what to buy, why to buy it, and what kind of your options are. So this is your first basic type of AR15. It's called a tactical, I call it a purpose philosophy of use tactical carbine. Double check so you can see. I am checking. I've already pre-checked all my guns. But anyway, so your entire build setup is designed around what your intended use are. And if you're new to rifles and guns, you think, well, my intended use is to shoot it, right? I mean, I want to shoot a gun. What do you mean my intended use? Well, rifles can shoot at different types of targets. They can shoot in different locations, and they can shoot for different distances. And depending on those varying three characteristics, you are going to have a different philosophy of use, which is going to entirely change the characteristics of your rifle. So a tactical carbine, the target is not necessarily competition like shooting at paper. The competition is against other potential militants in a without rule of law situation where you're trying to defend yourself, or if someone's invading a country or something. You want to actually attack and defend yourself against other people. In that situation, that is your target. So that varies different characteristics. You also got to ask about the distance. So this is my first tactical carbine. So for that, your distance is either close quarter combat versus out to maybe 100-200 yards. So that's your intended distance of where you want to shoot. Lastly is where are you going to be shooting. So this is going to be indoors and outdoors. So this is close quarters, so inside of a building, versus also going out as well. Some other rifles are geared only towards long distance outside shooting. So I'll show how those three characteristics actually manifest them and what you choose how you choose to make your rifle. So if you're going to be shooting indoors in a close quarter combat situation, you do want the shortest barrel you can get. So according to law, you can't get less than a 16-inch barrel because that's considered a short barrel rifle, and that is illegal unless you get special permission and paperwork and pay a special tax, and I just wouldn't even go there. That gets rather complicated. But the shortest barrel you can get is 16-inch, so I'd recommend a 16-inch barrel for this role. However, you can get a 14.7-inch barrel that has a flash hider that is pinned to the barrel itself to make it come out to 16 inches, so that the flash hider is considered part of the barrel, and that's what this is. So the length of the barrel is similar to an M4 carbine, so that's pretty cool. And this is the shortest barrel I can get without actually it being an SBR. The second thing you want to decide on is how you're going to do your gas system and handguard. If you're shooting less than 200 yards, then I do recommend your standard A2 front sight post and then your standard handguard to attach to that. This system is such that the handguard actually attaches to the barrel. That affects the harmonics of the barrel. The alternative is a free float system where the gas block is actually smaller, it's attached to the barrel, and the free float system goes beyond it, on top of it, and that allows the barrel's natural harmonics to vibrate, and your shots are more consistent. Every vibration is the same, so your shots are more consistent, you're more accurate when you're shooting out to 500, 600 yards. But this is close quarters to 100-200 yards. Touching the barrel doesn't affect it in any appreciable manner. So these are preferred because they are much more comfortable. They're usually made out of plastic. They're usually wider in diameter and lighter, and so you can get a good grip on it. The third thing you want to think about is where you're going to place this gas port. There's close to the gun, to the receiver, in the middle, and farther away. So it's called a carbine length gas system, a mid length, and a rifle length gas system. For a tactical carbine, the two options really are either mid-length gas system or a rifle or a carbine length gas system for a 14.5 to 16-inch barrel. A rifle length gas system is a little too far out. This determines how much gas actually goes back towards you to help cycle your weapon. As the bullet does go up the barrel this way, right after it passes the gas port, gas goes up the gas tube and goes back into the gun. So gas only goes back into the gun for the time that the bullet's from here up to the barrel, so it's a little shorter. So when you do have a mid-length gas system, which is what this is, where it's a little farther out, less gas does go back to you, you get a little bit less recoil, your shots are a little bit more consistent. The standard M4 carbine that the military uses does have a carbine length gas system farther out here. It's a little bit more harder shooting, a little bit more recoil, a little bit less consistent. So I do recommend a mid-length gas system if you can get away with it. A lot of the carbine length barrels though are cheaper because they're mass produced. So if you do get one, that's fine. If you do have one, it works, so it doesn't really matter. But this does provide the advantage of better recoil management, and you can put lights or whatever you want farther out down the barrel. Most tactical carbines have some sort of vertical hand grip. There's also an angled foregrip that you can use, and that helps with stability of the rifle. I like the vertical hand grip. You can either hold it like this, people like this. I mean, there's whatever you find comfortable, it doesn't really matter. But there's that. Moving back down the rifle is the type of optic you're going to use. So for close quarter combat, of course, you do want some sort of red dot sight. The reason is because you want to be able to see as much as you can in the close quarters, and a red dot provides you the ability to shoot with both eyes open. You can also almost put your cheek anywhere on this rifle and you'll still see that red dot. That makes target acquisition really easy, really quick, and is ideal for close quarter combat. Secondly, you do want a backup iron sight. So this is a Troy backup iron sight. Kind of pops up. Just in case your optic fails, it can co-witness through the red dot sight to your front sight. So you can have a backup just in case your optic does fail, which they do. I do recommend the front A2 front sight. There's other ones that are like this that are a little lower. I do recommend that in a close quarter situation, just in case your optics fails. You're like this, you can just quickly flip up and you're still good to go. You don't have to worry about a front and rear. The front sight doesn't really get too much in the way. It is kind of nice there. It does look a little bit more classic. I like it, but it's kind of personal preference. I don't want in a close emergency situation, if my optic fails, to be able to have to go front sight and rear sight. This, my hand's already here. Just kind of quickly bring that up and I'm ready. Moving down the rifle, I do have a Spikes Tactical nickel boron coated bolt carrier group. For tactical carbines, I do recommend these. These are usually high firing, fast shooting guns that, as well, if you're in a close quarter situation, you do not want your gun to fail. These are probably best in reliability. Cycles really fast. That's the only situation where I think a nickel boron bolt carrier group is useful. If you're out farther, like a sniper rifle situation, if you do jam, it's not the end of the world, I guess. So if you don't have one, it's fine. But for a close quarter combat, I do recommend some sort of nickel boron bolt carrier group. Also, in general, you want more of a single stage trigger usually. We're going to get farther down. The single stage trigger, with one pull of the trigger, there's no second stage to block. This is rapid fire, so single stage triggers are good for that. You don't really need that precision shot of a two-stage trigger. Any single stage trigger will be fine. Triple safety checking because I'm about to pull the trigger. This trigger, however, if you do intend to fire against other potential combatants, you do want a heavier trigger. You don't really want much, at least a 4.5 pound trigger. This is like your standard 6 to 7 pound trigger. It's a Spikes Tactical nickel boron bolt carrier, nickel boron trigger. The nickel boron triggers do feel really smooth. They just kind of go back. It's really nice, but you don't need to be too accurate. So having a single stage nickel boron coated trigger is fine. You can get other triggers, but I do recommend don't get a 2 to 3 pound trigger. That's a little too light for this role. You do want some sort of grip. In a tactical carbine situation, you don't really fire in the traditional manner where you're shouldering and chicken winging your arm out. The original A2 grip angle is designed for your hand being chicken winged out, so it's a little bit more of an acute angle. You do want more of a vertical grip because for tactical carbine you tend to shoot out like this, and you want your shoulder tucked in. So there are more grip angles that are more vertical for that and less acute, a little bit more obtuse. This is the Magpul K2. I know Bravo Company has a nice vertical hand grip as well, and that's something to consider. For here, you can get little plates so that you can have something to attach to. That's fine, whatever. Moving back to the stock, there's two main types of stock configurations. There's a rifle length stock that's a little farther out, and a carbine length stock. That sort of carbine length tube allows you to have an adjustable stock. So this is a Magpul CTR stock. I really like them for most builds. Most of my builds do have a carbine length buffer tube system, and I think that's ideal. So that if you're close quarters, you can make it as short as possible, and you have it tucked in, lowers your angle of momentum so you can switch from target to target really quickly. And that's ideal. If you are like going prone and you are going to make one of those longer shots, you can bring it back a little bit. So this does allow you to do close quarters and a little bit farther out. My next video is going to be on a free floating gun, so stay tuned for that.